Very pleasant good morning to each and everyone logged on and viewing us on YouTube. A very, very happy Saturday to each and everyone. This morning, we welcome you to the Romaine Diabetic Support Group Meet and Vlog. This is a program, a forum, where we explore non-communicable diseases and seek to educate persons on the need to live healthy lifestyles. Today we have two beautiful persons, two wonderful women who would be sharing with us from two different perspectives. So we have with us Ms. Simone Grant Lindsay, who is a known diabetic, recently diagnosed diabetic, recently found out that she's a diabetic, and she would be sharing her experiences with us today. And we have Ms. Christine Taylor, who is the education coordinator of the Romaine Diabetic Support Group with us. So we look forward to a very meaningful, very healthy discussion this morning. So as we begin, I would want to ask Ms. Simone to tell us a little bit about herself, share with us so we have an idea as to who we're speaking with this morning.
Okay, pleasant good morning to the chairman and to all those of you who are logged on this morning. My name is Simone Grant Lindsay. I'm from Sangre Grande. I am a business owner and recently diagnosed diabetic.
Thank you very much, Simone. Ms. Taylor, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Good morning to everyone. I am sorry, I'm having a little problem with my video, but you can hear my voice. I hope I would be able to sort that out in the next couple of minutes. But I am a retiree. I I am from a very big family of 10 children, 5 boys, 5 girls. Now, I became very interested in the diabetic support group because quite a few of the members of my family have died of complications related to diabetes. And therefore, I think it is very important to have the information passed on to people who are and who are not diabetics and who have, as we put it these days, comorbidities. Generally, I am pretty well in body, but I'm hoping never to have have one of those comorbidities, as they say, because of the COVID situation.
Beautiful,
That's it in a
beautiful.
nutshell.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Miss Taylor. It's very nice, and it's nice for us to know that the issue is the complications associated with uncontrolled diabetes. And over the coming months, we will hear and we will learn and we will understand that the issue is not particularly diabetes per se, but the complications associated with uncontrolled diabetes. So I want us to jump into our discussion this morning. And members logged on Zoom, you will have the opportunity, should you wish, to pose questions to these two beautiful ladies this morning. So let's start with Simone. So Simone, when it has just been recently that you found out that your blood sugar levels were going high, and you would have gone to the doctor and they would have told you, Simone, you're diabetic. What did it feel like being told that you are diabetic?
Okay, so I think it affected within the first 24 hours, it affected my mental status. It's not that I was not familiar with the term diabetes. My both parents are diabetic. And so within the first 24 hours of me getting the final diagnosis, hearing from the doctor that you are actually diabetic, I felt that it affected my mental status. And I began to worry. I started to think about all the negative things that could happen, because you hear a lot about persons losing limbs, and so that was the first thought. I was really terrified within the first 24 hours. But then I had to speak to myself, look at myself in the mirror and see, you can beat this. And so I think the greatest disadvantage of a human being could be ignorance, a lack of information.
Thank you very much, Simone. That is really, really interesting to hear that, within that first 24 hours, how you felt, sorry, because of the things that you would have been told, because many times persons think, well, I'm diabetic, or they associate diabetes with death. And we hope that, as we do these sensitization sessions, that persons will realize that diabetes is not a death sentence. So, Simone, where you are at this point in time, 24 hours have passed. Do you still think you're going to die from diabetes?
I had a total change. And I think in order to win this fight, you need to win it in your mind. And you need to speak to yourself. You need to encourage yourself. And so fast forward to 2 months later, I'm in a
Mm.
better space in my mind. And I think it even reflects in my readings, because I would tell you that when I got the diagnosis, for the first couple of days, I stopped eating because I was like, I just don't know what to eat, because I just don't want the sugar to spike. And I was worrying, and it reflected in my readings because I was not eating. I said I just did not know what to eat, because I'm thinking everything I eat, I don't want to do this sugar. I don't want to. I didn't. Wasn't fully aware of portion sizes, and so I just completely stopped eating. I said if I don't eat for like 2-3 days, probably the sugar level will go down and all of that. And so again, a lack of information. But I'm seeing at this time I'm in a much better place in terms of my mind, and I am now able to make informed more informed and intelligent decision as to the way forward and in terms of the treatment, and I can smile. So it's
Beautiful.
not all bad.
That's really, really, really nice to hear. It's nice to know that you are in that place. So I do hope that persons who are listening, should you experience what Simone experienced with your blood sugar levels going high, and you go to the doctor and the doctor say, hey, sir, ma'am, you're diabetic. Please don't take it as a death sentence. You're not going to die. Yeah? So I want to move to Ms. Taylor. So the Romaine Diabetic Support Group, as I understand it, um, seems to be doing a lot of work in the community, and it seems to be going a little broader now, way out of Romaine. Ms. Taylor, can you tell us a little bit about the Romaine Diabetic Support Group?
Oh, sure. I would like to first start by saying that one of the main components of the Romaine Diabetic Support Group is empowering lives through education. This is very, very, very important, not only for diabetics, but people generally. Now, this group has a structured, um, it's very structured in its nature, with a chairman who has a secretary, a treasurer, coordinators, together with three main directors who are responsible for policy planning, operations, the finances, and importantly, medical support and advice. This, of course, is in the medical part of it is in collaboration with the Southwest Regional Health Authority, which is very important because when we need medical references and presentation, we can always come to them, go to them, and say, who do you have who can present on a topic as to your taking your meds, your nutrition, your form of exercise, and your general well-being and health and well-being. Because health does not mean that you may have diabetes or blood pressure, but health also means that mentally you could lead to high blood pressure, which could also lead to diabetes. And with that combination, you are not better off at all. So the support group, we have, well, recently we now have virtual meeting because of COVID. But prior, we would have meetings at the Laramie Health Center, and this is always attended by more than 50 or 75% of the membership because they look forward so much to being educated, to be informed, and most of all, socialization. Because socialization is one of those things that people gravitate to because it is so much It gives you so much oomph for living, that association. And therefore, I personally will urge people to become members, not because you're diabetic or you have some other underlying non-communicable disease or any disease for that matter, but become a member of the support group to be part of what we are experiencing, what we are loving, what we are there for, to the assistance. We have the youth arm, we have the education meeting once every month, although the education people would meet otherwise in planning and so on. And we have a weekly exercise program to help. We also have people who would advise on your diet. So, Simone, you are in the right place. You are in the right place being a member of the Laramine Support Group. And I would ask you to encourage people who do not know their situation, their health situation, to be members too. It is, I mean, I spoke to one of the members yesterday. You join, you do an application for $5 and you pay $20 for a year. And a year of the kind of exposure that you get from the Laramie Diabetic Support Group is worth like less than $2 a month. And it is so refreshing to know that, listen, I can get all of this for less than $2 a month for the entire year. Come on, come on board, come on board and be part of it. We also have to ensure that we keep in touch with you. There's a buddy system where the members are contacted and also their birthdays are remembered with cards, your anniversaries. You'll get a call or you'll get a special greeting from sometimes too many members of the of the association, but the group. But I think it is always so welcome. Being
That sounds very exciting, eh? That,
it's very exciting. The hospitality coordinator, she is so in tune with everybody's birthday when the time comes that it makes you feel, listen, even though I have my blood relative, there is the Laramine family that you can turn to, which is so, it is refreshing, it is consoling, and most of all, they would tell you at each meeting we do a prayer. We remember God in our lives because that is so important. We keep in touch with each other. We encourage members to keep their records so that when they go to clinic or they visit their personal physician, they have numbers that they can show to assist in their treatment.
thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, Miss Taylor. That's really good. That sounds like a lot. I
it
mean,
is a lot. It is a
hearing it,
lot.
I mean, I've been involved in it and I'm hearing it, and it excites me to know that the Laramine Diabetic Support Group is doing so much for persons. And you touch on some key things there about socialization and support. That is really, really important. In the case of Simone, and I'm going back to Simone, um, having to deal with any sort of life challenge or life-changing event as it relates to your health or otherwise, support is really, really important. So Simone, I wanted to ask you, how did you cope, you know, within that first 24 hours and after, even up to now? How have you been coping with diabetes? Oh, Simone, you'll have to unmute. Yes,
Okay, sorry about that.
it's okay.
Having to deal with, after I had that mental breakdown for the first 24 hours, prior to me being diagnosed with diabetes, I started to log on to the Romaine Diabetic Association. So I was a part of the association, but I was not diabetic. I became diabetic after. And I I started to gather information. And information and knowledge is power. And through the information that I've gathered and I received, I started to make small changes. And I started to record my blood sugar level. I started to make better choices in terms of what I had on my plate. I started to drink a lot more water. I started to, you know, with the information that I received, I made baby steps to being in a better place. I know that it did not happen overnight. And so I was not going to get these lower numbers in the morning. And that's what I expected from the very beginning. I wanted my numbers to be low, right? And when I got up, and so I was not eating correctly. And I would have my last meal at 6, and I go to bed, and I got up in the morning and I had high readings and I could not understand what was happening. And so as I got the information, things started to change. So I am in a much better place. I'm hoping I understand the system. I understand that I need to take my medication. I understand that I have to eat on time. And so these things I am now applying to my life, and I'm actually seeing the changes. So I'm in a much better place at this time.
Beautiful. Simone, it sounds like one of the main things that you did to cope was to educate yourself. Yeah, am I correct?
Correct. Correct.
Yes, wonderful. And as we talk about educating ourselves, Ms. Taylor she holds a very key role in the support group. Ms. Taylor is the education coordinator for the support group. So Ms. Taylor, tell us a little bit about your role as the education coordinator at the Romaine Diabetic Support Group. What do you do actually?
Okay. I'm sorry I can't get I like people to see me,
It's
but
okay. Go ahead.
so I hope it is understandable. As the education coordinator, this does not mean it, as the word says, it's coordinator. It does not say that I am the education committee on my own. So everything that is done, it is done with the inclusion of the executive members. For this monthly meeting, there would be a plan, and the planning would be scheduled for at least, let us say, 6 months. During that time, we'll contact people who we would like to do the presentation on the different topics which we would like to present to the members, and this will be submitted to the executive committee, put onto an agenda. It will be up for discussion, for amendment or what have you, because again, it is a support group. The education meeting is usually for the fourth Saturday of every month. And as education coordinator, I would have to ensure that we have, well, when we didn't have the virtual, we would ensure that people who come in would get their numbers in terms of their high blood pressure and their blood sugar reading at every meeting, and we would do that for as many persons who would come in, not even necessarily request it. We'll ask, have you taken your vitals as yet? And that is important because, as we say, empowerment through education. And when they know their numbers, this is education itself. So basically, when we have these meetings, we would inform, we would encourage, and we would instill healthy lifestyles in the members. Not only members, but we encourage them, we encourage members to bring other people so that they too will be empowered. And this is what education is all about.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Taylor. That's really beautiful. You know, to become educated places you at a very different place. You know, when you see things, you might see things in a certain way normally, but when you begin to get information, it really changes the way you look at things. You know, so before you might see things as dark and doomy, but getting the education really empower, and I really love the motto of the Romaine Diabetic Support Group, empowering lives through education. And that's really nice. And I'm very happy to sync that with what Simone said. You know, one of the ways, or the main way by which she coped, was to educate herself. So Simone, in educating yourself, share with us now, what have you learned so far about diabetes and its management?
Okay, so I understand that there are two types of diabetes, and diabetes, uh, I have type 2 diabetes. And understanding type 2 diabetes, I understand too that you need as a diabetic, it's not the end of the world. You can live and lead a normal life with diabetes management. And so going into this, I would now have to make better choices and manage being a diabetic, which would entail um, better diet or better choices in terms of what my plate would look like, what I would eat, what I would snack on, um, eating on time, taking my medication, uh, understanding your readings, know what is hypoglycemia as opposed to hypo, both of them, and know the signs and symptoms of high blood sugar, know the signs and symptoms of low blood sugar. And so all of these things, having the knowledge, being educated about it, know what to look for, I am in a better place. So I have learned quite a bit of information that I am now able to share. Just like Ms. Taylor mentioned earlier, that there are members of her family that died from diabetes or complications relating to diabetes. With the education, I'm in a better place. And so sometimes I would have to speak to my parents about certain things, and even members of my siblings, right? Because we have both parents who are diabetics on insulin. And so in order to prevent, I think prevention is always better than cure. And so even if you're not diabetic now, you can make better choices. And so I am an advocate, right? I live in Sangre Grande, and I belong to the Sangre Grande Health Center. And so even if I go there and I sit and I'm sitting next to somebody in clinic, I would just encourage them. It's not the end of the world. You do the correct thing, eat on time, and that's a big thing. When you speak with people, they just don't eat on time, and you expect to have different readings. And so I am one of the biggest diabetes advocates in Sangre Grande at this time, and within my family, because I don't want to see people lose limbs. I don't want to see, you have problems with your eyes, you have problems with, other complications that come with uncontrolled diabetes. So I am really happy about being so far away, but still being able to be a member of the Laramie, because there's no real geographic location to be a member of an association in Laramie. I could live Sangre Grande and be a part of the Romaine Diabetic Support Group. So that's a privilege.
When I hear persons use the medical terminologies, like hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia, I know that learning has taken place, Simone, and I'm really happy that you are able to advocate for persons, who may be challenged with diabetes per se. I would remember my own experience starting off as a diabetes educator at Laramie Health Center, and it took a lot of advocating, because persons would see things a certain way, and it would mean that no, you have to try to help them to adjust the way that they see things. So I join with you in that advocacy, and I'm very happy that even within your family, you are able to share with them the information you have learned within the last couple months. Ms. Taylor, so Simone talked a lot about advocating and so forth. How does the Romaine Diabetic Support Group assist its members in managing not only diabetes, but lifestyle disease? How do you all do that?
That's very, very interesting question, because I know of a particular member who will actually post up on a weekly basis information to improve people's lifestyle, especially if they are diabetic. One of the things that the members are encouraged is to exercise. And how the group assists is in that we actually have a weekly, no, not a weekly, I think it's twice weekly exercise group. We cannot meet physically right now, but that is one of the ways that they are encouraged to manage your lifestyle. Exercise is so important because your limbs become so flaccid and you cannot move it, because it's like it's a piece of iron that you have not turned, although there's a lever to turn and you're not turning it, so it becomes rusty. We don't, in the diabetic support group, we don't want our people to become rusty. We want people to be active. One of the things that we always do too is tell them, listen, get your numbers, get your numbers, get your numbers. Attend our education meeting or whatever events we have that would encourage, as I said before, socialization. So these are just little points, but they go a long way in assisting members and in improving their lifestyle. And another thing, keep in touch, keep in touch, keep in touch.
I like that. Keep in touch, staying connected and having that support, is really, 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 really important. It's really nice because, within myself, I always think that any sort of friendship or relationship requires communication. And communication is really, to a point, keeping in touch. A phone call, how you doing? A text message, WhatsApp, a video call, keeping in touch. Thank you very much, Miss Taylor. So we are about beginning to wind down in our this beautiful discussion this morning. I just want to open up the forum a little bit because it is meet and vlog. to any member that is logged on at this point in time who would want to share or who would want to ask a question. Right, so
Good morning.
Morning, Veronica.
I want to ask a question, like in terms of if someone is not diabetic, but you probably have it running in the family, how often would you suggest that someone that is not diabetic to check to make sure that you are not doesn't have diabetes? Because sometimes, once you don't have it, sometimes you're not even checking, and you're not, because you're supposed to do a certain doctor visit ever so often, but sometimes, once nothing ain't go wrong, you ain't going to no doctor. So what would you suggest, how often should one check whether you have it in your family or not, to make sure that you are not diabetic?
Not a diabetic. That's a beautiful question, Veronica. And first, you are so correct that many people don't check because I'm well, I'm feeling good, and I ain't bothering to go by no doctor. You go to the doctor when you're sick. And that's a thought that, we hope that persons will move away from. So preventing diabetes is very important. And as Ms. Taylor would have touched up, should have talked about, what the support group does. What we do is not only for diabetics, but even persons who are totally without any medical condition, just to stay healthy. We encourage them to exercise and follow a particular diet. Now, how often should you check your sugar? You're not a diabetic, you don't have a family history. I would say once every quarter, once every 3 months, you do a random blood sugar check. If you want to check more regular, then it's up to you. You could check once for the month. But generally, I would say that you could check once every 3 months. You could do that random blood sugar check, right? And that means that it doesn't have to be fasting. You could just, any point in time during the day, after eating, you could just check your sugar. But there's a test that I would recommend that each person would do at least once for the year. And that is the HbA1c test. So that HbA1c test, what it does, it shows how well your blood sugar level would have been managed for a 3-month period. So once for the year, just do a HbA1c test. And it's not a fasting test, so you could just walk into a lab and you could ask them to do that test for you. Once the reading that they give you is between it is less than 5.7, it means that you are not a diabetic. You are not pre-diabetic. So if you are less than 5.7%, you are not a diabetic, you're good to go. If you fall between 5.7% and 6.4%, it means that you are pre-diabetic. And what does pre-diabetes mean? It's an indicator that you are at risk of becoming a diabetic, and lifestyle changes need to be enacted immediately, right? You need to make some changes. You need to change your diet. You need to start to exercise. You don't need medication at that point in time, but you need to make some changes. And if your HbA1c is 6.5% and above, then it means that you are diabetic. Now, a 6.5% HbA1c doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be placed on medication. You may just need to make lifestyle changes. So knowing that test, is a very important test that you should do at least once a year. Yes, Veronica? So I hope that I answered your question.
Thank you. I have one more question.
Sure.
Well, it have a lot of people, right? They sort of afraid needles. I don't know why I'm bringing back up this again, but they wouldn't go and check it just because they have a phobia with needles. From the time you see a needle coming, you feel like you're going to die. And there's a lot of people that has this really, truly have this phobia that they
Yes.
could be sick and they will not go to the doctor because they have this fear of needles, right? So I want to know, what can you say in terms of overcoming this phobia of needles so that you could at least get your blood sugar? Because I haven't tested my blood sugar. I don't know when, because once I see a needle coming, I am so afraid of that. I remember one time on work, I got a stick in my finger and I was like, okay, I need to check my blood sugar because I already got a stick by mistake, right? So I want to know, what could you tell me and share with others in terms of overcoming this phobia, if I should say that we have with needles so that we can live a more healthy life?
Thank you for the question, Veronica. So I would want to put that question to Simone, because Simone is actually sticking herself, sticking her finger, and she's taking insulin, you know. So Simone, tell us about the fear of sticking yourself, that phobia.
I am not sure if I'm the correct person to treat with this question because I was never afraid of needles even prior to becoming a diabetic, because now you have to inject you have to do I have to do a log, and because of the log sometimes you need to take your blood sugar level, well, twice for the day or 3 times for the day as the doctor recommended. But now I am down to once a day. Sometimes I skip a day because of the readings that I'm getting. However, I was prior to becoming diabetic, I had surgery and stuff. So I was accustomed to the needles. So even now at home, me taking my insulin, I think my husband is more scared about the needles than me. So he's like, "You're gonna do that here?" No. And he going, you understand? And so I am not afraid of needles. I know that I have to do it. What I don't want is to be hospitalized or to have to go into a diabetic coma or anything. That is what I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of getting taking the injection and things. And so if you look at it being something that is necessary and something that would prevent you from getting sick and getting ill, this is what you have to do. Because if you're hospitalized and they have to put in IV and all of that, that's worse than just taking a little stick on your finger and knowing what your status is. So I think that's the only motivation for me, that it is preventative. And so I would not want to have to lie on a hospital bed or have to be on insulin, because if you're on insulin because you did not take the necessary preventative measures, it's actually going to be worse. So if you're looking at it as one stick every quarter, that's preventative measures. And you may be able to just end up on a diamicron rather than having to take insulin every day. That's so true. In that way, I would look at it as, here what, let me do this once a quarter and be in a better position rather than have to do a diabetic log or or having to take insulin every day of your life.
Yeah, I think that was a beautiful response. You know, prevention is better than cure. So yeah, I mean, once every 3 months, a little stick is for you to know your health, you know? So, I mean, do it. You have to do it. You understand? I mean, we would tell you that you wouldn't feel any pain. I mean, for me particular, when I check somebody's sugar, I will tell them you are not going to feel any pain, right? I know that you're human. You will feel a little pressure because you're human, but you are not going to feel excruciating pain because I know where I'm going to stick, because I was trained to stick people in a certain way so it wouldn't hurt, you know? So once every 3 months, Veronica, it's for your health. Yeah. Farah?
Hi everyone.
Hi, hi.
Well, I just like a comment. I just have a comment to make. Me being a new member of the Romaine Support Group, I could second what Miss Taylor said. When I first came, it was such warm welcome from everyone that you could feel the love and friendship growing amongst everyone. And they also provide reminders because for me and with my diabetes, it's always been a roller coaster ride. Um, when I now found out I was diabetic, I was so strict on medication, diet, sticking to it, bringing down my HbA1c. But then as time go by, you become complacent and no longer exercising as much, or you're going to try and sneak in a food that you know you're not supposed to eat. And then this is where the educational meetings for me came in. They became reminders, hey, you're not supposed to be eating this. Why are you eating it? Why is your sugar content in terms of snack increase? You need to cut back it down. So for me, I just want to encourage everyone who's listening, it's a good thing to join because you have the support of people, if it is you're feeling alone and you just need to someone to talk to, they're there to support you. And one thing that I really loved for the support group is they have this form where you can fill out if you want to have a one-on-one conversation with a medical doctor, whether it's for personal reasons, whether it's for medical reasons, it's there for your access. And to me, that is really great because, some people during this pandemic, they know they're depressed or their diabetes just took a spike and, they're panicking and they need the assistance to just reassure them. And, it's going to be okay. You just need to know you're following back your steps. And I just want to thank, the diabetes group support group, allowing me to be a part of their group and to continue the good work.
Thank you, Farah. It's really nice to have you, and it's really nice to hear those beautiful comments. The Romaine Diabetic Support Group truly endeavors to meet the needs of our members. Many times we would not be able to do everything, and one particular example would be the COVID-19 vaccines. The COVID-19 vaccination process was or is a Ministry of Health supervised initiative, right, for the national community. So, many persons may have thought that the support group should have gotten vaccines for the members, but the government has been taking care of that. And there's nothing, and we would have tried, we would have called, we would have advocated, we would have asked, for specific vaccinations to be given to our members. However, we did eventually, as things progress, we were able to submit some names for our members and so forth. So I want to encourage all our members to understand that we love you and we care about you, we care about your health. Yes, sometimes we may not be able to do everything that you ask us to do, but we will go the distance. Yeah? So Simone and Miss Taylor, Christine, it has been very beautiful having both of you all on sharing with us this morning. So I would want to ask both of you all what advice you would give to others on living a healthy lifestyle. So I want to go with Simone first, and then we would come to Miss Taylor. What advice would you give to others on living a healthy lifestyle?
Okay, so I think that for persons who at this time are not diabetic, if you follow what we would call a diabetic lifestyle, I think you would be in a better place in terms of you are already eating, exercising. You wouldn't need to take medication, but you're already eating, you're already exercising, you're already active, you're already making better choices. I think you would be in a really good place. You would already be winning this fight. And it begins with being educated. And so I think that we need to do a little more. We're doing wonderful, but if each person encourages members of their families. It means that you're going to spread our wings even wider so that people would be educated. And once you are educated, you would make better informed decisions. Right now, we're in the pandemic, and you cannot exercise. You can't go and exercise. You can't leave your home to exercise. But it doesn't mean that you cannot do it at home, in a room, just in your backyard. You can plant your own stuff just to be a little more active, because being confined to your homes, and we are not really supposed to go out and that kind of thing. So you can find really nice creative ways of doing it in and around your home, in a safe environment, and get the information, get the knowledge. And so I think we would be able to do much better in terms of changing our lives and changing the lives of the persons that we come into contact with. And by that happening, we will be able to at least bring the numbers down, even within our families. We would be able to bring those numbers down, and even educating our younger children would put us in a better place for to win this fight.
Thank you, Simone. Thank you, and thank you for coming. Christine.
Yes, Simone, I would have said a lot what you have said in recommending to the wider public, whether diabetic or not. But I would like to add a few more items to your list that you have put down. Remember that your medication as a non-diabetic is in your food. It is in your kitchen. And if you would adhere to some of the things that you are using in your kitchen as your food, especially now that you've got to prepare and not go to out there to eat, look at what you prepare at home. Another thing is managing your diet and your exercise. You don't go and exercise until you're dead beat, and when it's time to go and eat something, you say, I'm too tired to go and eat because I'm too tired. You've got to manage it, because you have to remember to actually rest when you must. I remember reading an article which says rest is not sleep. And we have to remember that we don't have to sleep to rest, but we have to rest to rest. And there are times when you have to rest from everything, blank your mind out, and this actually helps your mental capacity. Do something that would trigger some of the cells, cells in your brain, but yet you are at rest. And most importantly, well, not most important, before I come to the most important, is that with all lifestyle diseases, there should be nothing to fear, because if you have it in your power to do something about it. So you don't have to fear the stick of a needle. You don't want to go to see the doctor because you'll have to talk too much. Talking is important. One medical doctor that I used to see many years ago, she said to me, listen, I am not coming here. I don't come here to heal you, but I am here to make sure that you are alive, and you are alive for a much longer time on this earth. And I never forgot that. And I take that as a personal advice, which I pass on to people. Doctors are there to ensure that you live a comfortable and a longer life. And I was coming to my most important point, is that apart from not having fear, have faith, and have faith in whoever that higher being is in your life that you serve, as a master who cause your windows of these eyes to be open on a daily basis when you are alive. that you can actually lift your feet and make another step. Have faith in Him and put your belief in whatever you call Him, whether it is God, whether it is Allah, whether you call Him Buddha, Baba, Papa God, whatever. Call on Him, have faith, and stand firm when there is need to stand firm in the belief in that supreme being.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Miss Taylor, for those beautiful words of advice and encouragement. And I just want to encourage you all to continue living a healthy lifestyle, which means eating properly, following your exercise routine, and if you are on medication, complying with your medication plan. And these things can be further explored individually through individual counseling with a director from the support group, or at our education meetings on the 4th Saturday of every month. So I want to thank you all for logging on. Thank you all for being part of this. And I wish you all a very blessed and productive. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.